doing? Good.
Coach Longo, what do you think needs to happen for the offense to run the ball better? We've had success running the ball since you've been here. I was wondering what did Notre Dame do that made it a struggle, 66 yards?
Yeah, I mean, one, they're really good, Ross. I mean, that's going to be as good a front seven as we see this year. That's no excuse to run the ball anyway, but that was certainly part of the equation. I think, we wanted to be more efficient on first down, and part of that obviously is running the football on first down. I think, we're about 85% efficient when we threw the ball on first down. We wanted to be more diverse to help it a little bit. And we were 85% on first down and passing. We were 30% running the ball on first down. So that's not where we want it. That's probably the issue right now. It was an emphasis for us last week. We watched the run game after the game was over. And we got fewer opportunities to run the football. One, because we only got 60 plays in the game. And part of that is our own responsibility, right? We had 3 and outs. Three is a lot for us, which is a good problem because it's the national average, but 3 is a lot for us, and we're not used to having 3 and outs. And I think that limits the number of opportunities you have, and obviously it's going to eliminate, run opportunities. The other thing that occurred in the game, I think, was in the second half, early in the third quarter, we got into 2-minute mode more. We're an up-tempo offense to begin with, but, we generated more tempo plays early on in the game because we got in that mode because of where the score was. And so it really prompted fewer run calls. And it worked for us, but I think when you go back and look at the runs that we did get, we need to do a better job. We had some of them actually blocked up well, and that's not what you initially would think. There was a power, we ran into the boundary, and they ran a cross dog, and we were wondering if they just wadded it up and forced the back to push sideways, and then they ran it down. And really, when you go back and you watch the film, it's not. Our offensive line did a great job of matching the cross dog, and we blocked both backers. And there was a crease down the middle of the field, right where the center had been aligned, and we just missed it. And so when we went back and looked at our run game, some of it is we've got to get a little bit more movement with the offensive line, and some of it is we need a back to step up here. We've got 4 really good ones. A couple of them that played the majority of the game on Saturday had a few good runs, and then we also missed a few. And that's certainly not to load the back or the running backs with all of the blame, but there are some things that outside of just the offensive line we have to do better. And so I'm going to challenge the running backs this week, and I know Coach Porter will. We can't keep rolling through 4, and I talked about this with Coach Brown as well. And I'm going to challenge them. We want somebody to separate themselves. We all have talent. George is explosive. Caleb has that nice blend of both. DJ's our everything guy. And O'Marion is the physical downhill kid. And at some point, Ty Chandler early in the season, late in the summer camp, just said, this is my job. And he separated himself from everybody else, and he became that guy. And really, when one does that, it makes the others more valuable because then they kind of fall into what their role is, and they get really good at it. Now, I would love for all 4 of them to do that, but that's not reality. And so I'm going to challenge them this week. We want a guy or 2 to separate themselves, and they don't have to worry about doing it from a full season standpoint. I want them to lock into this week's game plan. Here's what we're doing in the run game this week. Here's what we're doing in the pass game this week. Here's what we're doing in protection this week, and do it at a high level and excel and separate yourself from the other 2 or 3 that we have. And then we're going to roll with those 2 guys on Saturday a little bit more than the 4-man rotation that we've had.
Last Monday, I asked you, after you guys had gone through the reevaluation, what was the concern with the offense? And you brought up running on first and second down.
No question.
So what is the common thread, not just Notre Dame game, but all 4 games, that is something that must get fixed and can be fixed?
It's interesting. That's a great question because it hasn't been the same thing every week, right? And so it certainly isn't that we don't have talent in the backfield. And it actually isn't that we don't have the ability to run the ball up front. There has to be more continuity. It's the very first thing that I said to our staff when we got together yesterday. There has to be more continuity between what we're doing in the backfield with the RBs in terms of understanding where to hit the hole and beat the line of scrimmage and what we're doing from a block standpoint up front. And that's not really where we want it. I think that's the biggest issue. You know, we had great effort Saturday from a physical standpoint. We probably could have gotten off some first level blocks and gotten to the linebackers a little bit sooner. So that'll be an emphasis in Bicknell's room. I think we need to be a little bit more aggressive with regards to beating the line of scrimmage. Our kids are talented enough that when they beat the line of scrimmage, we're not going to get 4 if we block for 4. We can get 6, 8, 10, an explosive play with the talent that we have in the backfield. We've got to do a better job of beating the line of scrimmage, which means we've got to be firm enough that we can cross the line of scrimmage with the RB, and then you let them go be the athletes that they are. And I think that that's going to happen here. I mean, we're getting closer. There's a process here, and it's happening. It didn't produce what we wanted in the run game on Saturday, but it's coming, and I feel very confident that we're going to get where we want to get in the run game here shortly.
Phil, you guys are number, I think, 9 in the country in third down conversion rate. You're doing it without a consistent running approach, or game output. What does it take to be a good third down team? Is it just as simple as having a great quarterback? Is it, execution? Like, what do you think is the key to having those types of numbers?
First thing I want to say is the best third down teams in the country, are the ones that get in it the fewest. And, over the years, the last 10, 12 years in this offense, we have done a great job of staying out of third down. We're always high nationally with regards to being in the fewest amount of third downs. But that goes back to what we're talking about, not just running the ball on first down, but being efficient on first down. And so Saturday we were more efficient on first down, but that was helped out by throwing the ball on first down, and we need to be efficient running it. I don't care if we run it 70 and throw it 10 or vice versa. If we're going to run it 10 times or throw it 10 times, we need to be efficient when we do it. That forces the defense. They still have to defend both. It doesn't really, the distribution I don't care about. What I care about is we are effective when we're doing it, and we haven't been as effective running on the base downs as we need to. To answer your third down question, I think that part of it is we're vastly improved in pass protection on the offensive line, and that's a huge part of it. We're much firmer from guard to guard. I said this last week, we're creating more width at the tackle spots. So Drake right now and our quarterbacks in practice are enjoying more space. On top of that, we're trying not to have, sometimes more space allows quarterbacks to think that they have more time. Don't want to do that. We want the rhythm of the passing game to remain the same. So even though the protection's better, we don't want to feel comfortable to a point where we're holding the ball longer and we're getting into, what I call skelly football. We don't want to do that. So we want to keep the pressure off the O-line. We're doing a better initial job of engaging people and playing off twists and handling pressures. And that's a big part of the defensive game on third down. And so we're handling that. I think we're not just in the drop back mode trying to attack things on third down. And then I'll be honest with you, we're aggressive here, and I'm not telling anybody anything any different than they already know. Coach Brown, when it's strategic and he thinks it's a good time to be aggressive on fourth down, we're going to go for it on fourth down. And so to know that as a play caller gives me an opportunity to maybe play some calls on third down a little bit different. If it's third down to 13, we pop 8 or 9 yards and don't get the first down, depending on where we are in the game and on the field, coach may be more willing to go for it. And he always lets me. I've never been anywhere where the head coach tells you as early as he does when you have 4 downs. And so that allows me not only to scheme and plan what I do on third down, but he tells me early enough that I can start thinking about that by field zone or by game situation before my second down call. And that's early because the call is coming out quick. We run a first down play and that ball hits the ground and I'm signaling the next one now based on where we are and what we want to do in the game plan. And so for coach to be able to give it to me before even second down really has allowed us to be more efficient on second and third down. And so what we got to do is go back to what we've done here in the past, and that's be more efficient and more successful on first down, particularly on P and 10 when you're starting drives.
Just to follow up on that, when would coaches normally before when you said that he's the earliest?
Normally, like you get out a result, you knock out second down and the ball hits the ground and I'm getting ready to make a third down play call and I'm hopeful that I'm going to get the knowledge or the call from the head guy that we have 4 downs. Sometimes I don't even care if we have 4 downs or we don't. It's good to know. It's good to know because it affects your third down call. Coach Keeler at Sam Houston State did a great job all the time. The minute second down was over, boom, he let me know if I had 4 downs or if we needed to get the first down now. So that helps me in my third down call. Coach Brown actually at times will tell me, before second down, and he does that often. And so it really helps me with regards to choosing what I want to do on second and third down because I know now if we work our way to 4th down and 1 or 4th down and 2, in a 4-down situation, we have an opportunity to go for it.
Phil, if you're condensing the running back rotation somewhat, like does that cut out either Caleb, DJ, or George? Because it obviously looks like Omarion is your starter. I mean, one of those 3 between Caleb, DJ, and George kind of get cut out of the rotation.
It means that starting this week, all 4 are equal, and they are going to separate themselves by what they do in practice. And that's going to dictate which 2 we might major in on Saturday. It doesn't mean we're not playing the other 2, but we're going to give the guys that are fully prepared this week a little bit longer run and to give them an opportunity to heat up. As Coach Natron says, we want to give a guy a chance to lather up a little bit and get going. And we're going to do that this week. But that's going to be a week-to-week deal, just like it is at every other position. Having 4 talented kids in the backfield is a good problem, but playing them in the game is more difficult. And I think at times it doesn't give maybe your 2 best, whoever that may be that week, the opportunity to lather up, as Coach says. So that's what we're going to emphasize, and that's what we're going to do this week, and that'll all be based on how they practice and how they perform.
Just to follow up on that is, do you go to, I don't know, Larry Porter on Thursday or Friday and say, all right, these are the 2 I want to roll with. Who do you want? Like, do y'all sort of compare notes at the end of the week type deal?
So the best thing about our staff is I fully respect and appreciate the feedback that we get from everybody. And so when we're making decisions pertaining to one of the coaches' rooms specifically, Coach Porter and I talk about it every day. We talk about the running backs every single day for the most part. And so that'll be an ongoing daily discussion, and his feedback is vital with regards to, because he's the one watching the running backs on a daily basis. I'm watching the offense, and then I don't get a chance to evaluate individual positions until we go watch film and practice. So his initial feedback is, because he knows who's got the protections down. It's easy in the run game to tell because you can watch, are we hitting the holes or are we not? And very simply, everything in my world with regards to these players is really about character and production. I use those 2 all the time. You got to be doing the things off the field the right way, and you have to be a certain type of teammate to do well here with the way Coach Brown wants things. And I don't think that's people want anything different away from North Carolina. We all want good character kids, but he demands it, and we just don't play guys that aren't doing things the way we want them to do them. But on the other end of it, and that's really why I said the quarterback competition shouldn't have been difficult, because sooner or later one of them separates themselves by production. And they made it really hard on me and on Coach Brown because it was such a tight race and they both played so well and they executed so well. And so we actually did have to make a decision. So at running back, we're waiting for that also, and we're all kind of hanging around in this good area, and I want somebody to elevate themselves. I want them to put themselves in that elite bracket and separate themselves from everybody else. And as I said earlier, we're going to challenge them to do that. And the production in practice and the guys that are most consistent and the most efficient are the ones that we're going to roll with first on Saturday. Okay?
Phil, Max said he and the rest of the staff all watched Virginia Tech versus West Virginia game last Thursday and had y'all take notes on it. What did you notice about them? Obviously, it's a good regime up there, Virginia Tech with Coach Pryor. What did you notice about that?
So the one thing about some of the teams that Virginia Tech has played already, and in particular West Virginia, is they're very similar to what we do. You know, and Coach Brown, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Neil Brown. I study what he does every year, you know, and so he comes really from the same family offensively. And so, you know, anytime a team has some overlap, you know, it helps you because you're seeing like formations and like schemes and whatnot. So, but we take all the games, you know what I mean, and we watch everything. We watch every down, just like every other staff does. And I think what we're finding with Virginia Tech is extremely mobile, high pressure team. You know, D-line works their tail off, you know, they have the opportunity to be physical, and they also have some twitch. So there's you know, it's another challenge for our offensive line this week. And, you know, it's different. You know, you play in this conference, and when the staff stay the same, you know, you kind of prepare and graduate and build on what you did against the team from last year. And with Virginia Tech, everything's completely new. I think there are a couple coaches on the staff that are still there, but the DC is new, the approach is new, you know, and some of the players are new this year. So addressing Virginia Tech this year is simply by watching this year's film and preparing from that standpoint, because it's really nothing like it was last year.
Phil, I know it's just 4 games in, but in what areas do you feel like Drake may be a little bit ahead of where Sam was at this point?
So I don't know about specific areas, but I think that, you know, I said this in camp, he and Jacoby both had the advantage over Sam of having a year or 2 years under their belt of practicing and being in all these different scenarios that you were going to be in. Sam did not have that luxury because he started immediately. You can only generate so many looks and reps in spring ball, you know, and in camp, and that's all Sam had before he started as a true freshman. So Drake and Jacoby have had a lot more reps in a lot of these same situations. So from a mental standpoint, I think they're doing a great job of IDing this stuff from a protection standpoint, a run game standpoint, and in the pass game, we're getting the ball off faster. So I think that certain areas of our game are benefiting right now with Drake. Like we're even better. We were a good third down team last year. We're even better this year. I think we're at 53% right now, and you'd like to keep that all season. I still want to minimize third down, but I like how efficient we have been there. We've been perfect in the red zone. I mean, right now we're 13 of 14, and Drake has helped us there. His mobility has helped us there. His throw talent has helped us there. The O-line play up front has really helped us there, but that's been an area where, you know, outside of kneeling it one time this season, we're a perfect 13 for 13 in the red zone, and that is a drastic improvement over last year, and that was an off-season emphasis. So, you know, if I can I credit Drake and only Drake with all the offensive improvements? No, but he touches the football every down, and he certainly is a part of that stuff. And so I think he has, especially in the red zone, he has a lot to do with our overall improvement.
Coach Brown mentioned the interception should have been a penalty, and I forgot to ask him, did you guys submit that play to the official?
So the interception at the App game?
At the Georgia State.
Oh, so here's what happened. You know, he had a one-on-one scenario. I think it was Kobe Paysor who got out ahead of him. And so from a quarterback, Drake May standpoint, that ball's got to get dropped over. We call it a bottle rocket. And he didn't throw that. He threw a 2-ball, which was a much lower, high-velocity throw, and it wound up going right to the DB. We did petition that play. We did send it in, and they did come back and tell us that it was an interference call that they missed. So our lone interception is on an interference call that they missed, but that doesn't exonerate Drake with regards to the type of throw he needs to make in that situation. And so, you know, you take those situations and you learn from them. And I don't ever, I don't sweat calls. You know, we weren't happy with a few on Saturday, but at the end of the day, I think they all even out, and you just deal with it as part of the game and you move on. And I hope that's the only interception he throws all season.
Coach Longo, obviously Josh Downs came back, Antoine Beaton came back. What did you like from what they did? Obviously, John, they both had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Positive or negatives for their performance from tape?
The negatives are how are we gonna work our personnel now? You know, because for 3 weeks we got used to scoring and doing a good job on offense with the guys that we had. You know, I had a conversation with Kobe Paysor, and I just said, listen, 2 things can happen here when Josh Downs comes back, because he was the starter before he left. and Kobe's performed so well. I said, one, your starter leaves, your backup comes in, and he suffices. You know, he does a good enough job that you're able to get through, and then when the starter gets back, you play him. Or the starter gets hurt, the next guy steps up, and he does a heck of a job. And he demonstrates that he can be a weapon out on the field. And then the starter comes back, and you have that great problem of trying to figure out how to get them both out there enough times and maybe even at the same time to continue helping our team. And that's what Kobe did. You know, and so Gavin Blackwell and J.J. Jones had the same opportunity, and they took advantage of the same opportunity while Antoine was out. So we're thrilled. So the negative is sitting up there with the staff, how do we effectively use all of them? And the, you know, the positives are obviously those two came back and produced 4 of our 5 touchdowns and some big plays in the game. And you know, we have to continue to make sure that the strategy that we have in place makes sure that we put the ball in their hands. And you know, I was curious, Ross, to see how many plays they could go. I was hoping to get 30 out of Antoine and 30 out of Josh Downs. They were both injured. How do they handle that? They're both healthy now. Where is their wind and their endurance? And I think Josh played over 60 without issue. And Antoine, just by luck, by sheer luck, got the exact rep that we had prescribed. He got 30 reps in the game. By having this depth, we can play more people and keep them fresh. You know, and we experienced the benefit of that, or what the benefit can be for a team when we attacked Notre Dame's defensive line last week. We played with 5 or 6, and they rolled through 8. You know, and they were able to stay fresh. We battled 4 D linemen, and then they rolled them out, not all together at one time, but we battled 8 people all game, and they were able to stay fresh. And that alone shows you the benefit of having great depth. There was no drop-off. And at receiver right now, I don't think there's much of a drop-off. So we're going to utilize them in a way to keep them all fresh. And typically, if history rings true here, that means they'll be more productive with less plays because they're closer to playing at 100% all the time.
Phil, it's almost stupid to ask you, did Antoine have to knock off some rust Saturday? I mean, obviously he had played in the game this season. He's coming off surgery. I mean, I haven't seen the coaching film, but it looked like he may have had a drop or two. I mean, was that, I don't know if rust is the right word, but did he have to sort of settle in a little bit
So I think when Josh came back in practice, I thought he was cautious at first, and then after a day, he just seemed like the normal Josh Downs. And when Antoine came back to practice, he had some uncharacteristic drops at first, you know, and then he hit the ground a few times with the collarbone, and it didn't affect him, and I think you kind of get through it mentally, and then after that, he was fine. And so the only question after that was they practiced hard and they practiced well, was going to be their wind and their endurance, and that really wasn't an issue Saturday. So, yeah, I think all is good right now. If anything, I'm going to challenge the two of them to come back and do it again this second week, because I've always felt like when a guy is out a week, now they were out longer, but when a guy is out a week, sometimes they're able to come back on adrenaline and excitement and just go play. You know, now we got to get back to doing it consistently, and we got to get another good week of practice. So after the first day, I didn't really feel like they were rusty. I was more concerned about are they going to be good mentally after being hurt. Some guys, it takes longer to handle that stuff than it does others. Antoine and Josh are 2 mentally tough players, and I think they handled it very well, and you saw that in their performance on Saturday.
All right.
Everybody good?
Thanks, Phil.
All right. See you this week.
Thank you, Phil.
Nice use of
Phil.
exonerate.
Oh, you like that word, exonerate?
Wasn't expecting that one.